This is episode 697, and I'm Greg Swanson. Today we're going to be talking about creating a personal development plan. You know, creating an effective personal development plan involves integrating aspects that address the physical component, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual components. So I'm going to go through a structured approach on this, but a personal development plan is really, really important. It's kind of like your guidebook to your evolution. If we don't pre-plan how we want to grow as a person, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, we'll just either not grow, and if you don't grow, you're dying, one or the other, or you will just spontaneous have growth, but it may not be the growth that you want as far as achieving your goals. So let's take a look at the personal development landscape here. So the physical, right? We want to focus activities that enhance physical health, like exercise, nutrition, sleep, hydration. If you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you know the physical component is our doorway to our mental component. But when we start looking at physical, we want to, if you've never done anything physical at all, part of that personal development plan would be, hey, we want to start walking more. Yes, we're going to go into goals and how to define that, but we want to start with a kind of a nebulous picture of where we want to go, and then throughout the development plan, we can fine tune it. But the physical is so important, right? It's just so important for longevity, for happiness, for just enjoying what life has to offer to us. So we really, really want to do the physical part of it. And if you're doing the physical part already, great. Maybe look at it and see how you can shake it up, stir it up, step out of your comfort zone. If you've never done Tai Chi, maybe do Tai Chi. If you've never done weightlifting, do weightlifting. But mixing up the physical activity will give you access to your mental activity, right? And so with the mental, we want to engage in continuous learning, which is if you go back to the physical and try something new, you will be learning. And we also want to look at how we can do problem solving, cognitive challenges that stimulate intellect growth. We want to even, I don't want to use the word debate, but we want to have these deep, meaningful conversations and learning about different people's perspective on topics. And we want to address those with curiosity, not to prove us right or prove them wrong. But continuous learning can take shape in many, many ways. It can be watching a documentary, perhaps, reading a book, going to a lecture, going to a seminar, talking to a stranger and finding out about their life story. All of these will help with your mental landscape, but we want to make sure in the personal development plan that you address, it's not doing the same thing, right? So back to the physical and mental, it doesn't mean you're doing the same thing, because that's not a development, that's just a status quo plan. And so we want to look at some of the things that we haven't done that we could do that would help us in the physical, mental, and then also in the emotional. So we want to develop this emotional intelligence through self-reflection, managing emotions, and building resilience, right? We want to understand the feelings, the emotions that we have. And a great tool that I use with clients is the emotion wheel or the feelings wheel. Because when we have bigger vocabulary on the emotions and feelings that we're experiencing, we can pinpoint them a lot more, as opposed to just using, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm happy, right? Those are so broad sweeping that it doesn't give us a chance to really truly dive into what are we really actually feeling. And through emotional intelligence is, what are we feeling? Can we notice somebody feeling something similar? Are we able to take feedback or criticism without getting emotionally upset? All of this is involved with emotional intelligence and also your developmental plan. So if we look at it again, this is a personal development plan, not a personal status quo. So you want to look at things you haven't done. And with all of these, a workshop would be great. You can go to a CrossFit workshop. You can go to a Tony Robbins workshop for the mental, the emotional. They have them all over, or just go to a learning, whether it's LinkedIn Learning or Udemy or whatever. There are these training classes that you can get and then start to practice it, right? And the spiritual component, right? It practices like meditation, mindfulness, connecting with nature to enhance inner peace and fulfillment. Also, part of this spiritual part is absolutely knowing your values, what's important to you, knowing your purpose, knowing your virtues. And when we know all those things, we can start to expand in our spiritual component of the personal development plan. So what we want to do is look at envisioning your future self. So imagine your ideal future in all dimensions of life, including career, personal growth, relationships, and health. So Steve Covey talks about start with the end in mind. So as we're building this development plan, we want to know the destination that we're going to. So you want to start imagining your future self. What would you be doing? Who would you be doing it with? How do you look? How do you feel? All of those parts. How's your career? All of that. We want to start to envision that. And I would even offer you want to start to write those down. And then so reflect on what a balanced and fulfilling life looks like for you. Consider all physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects. Keep in mind that we also want to acknowledge we do maybe want to keep some things the same that we enjoy. It's not that we have to wipe everything out and start all over again. If there are certain things you enjoy, keep them and then add to them. But we want to look at our future self 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. I like to start with 1 year because before you get to 2 years, you have to go through 1 year. Before you get to 5 years, you have to go through 1 year. So I look at 1 year development, your future self is it's far enough out where it gives you time to affect it, but short enough where you really can't lollygag around and there's a sense of urgency with it. And this is something that I really help my clients with, is really picturing that future self, all dimensions of it. Where are they going? And a lot of folks, this means, perhaps transitioning from a career to entrepreneurship or even a career to retirement, quote unquote. So we want to really take a look at this future self and start to envision it. And then within that future self, you want to pick your current area of focus, right? Choose areas that align with your envisioned future and most meaningful you right now. My advice when I work with my clients is pick 3, maximum 5 areas of focus. 5 even this day is a little too much, and I've noticed I've been chunking them down to 3. 3 is manageable. So if you start with working on 3 for the first quarter, the first half of the year, and you just focus on those 3 components of your personal development plan or your future self, when those start rolling, then you can add 3 more. So by the end of the year, you would have accomplished 6 areas. But if you start out right now by focusing on 5 to 6 areas, it can seem overwhelming. So you just want to pick 3 of areas of focus and create that plan. Right? So consider your current life stage, your responsibilities, your resources to determine realistic and impactful focus areas. Right? If you're in a career and you're barely making ends meet, perhaps the focus area might not be entrepreneurship, but it may be looking at getting a promotion or moving to another company that can help create a better financial buffer, and then move on beyond that. So then you want to determine your key practices. So we have the components, we have your future self, we have the focus areas. Now the key practices are effectively your action steps, right? Identify specific actions and routines that will help you progress in each area. And those could be strategies and tactics. Strategies are what you're going to do, and tactics are how you're going to do it. So let's say you pick physical. You're going to get in shape. How you're going to get in shape? I'm going to the gym. What are you going to do? I'm going to lift weights. So you want to be able to go from a goal, an outcome to a goal, to a strategy, and then to tactics. And for example, incorporating, again, like I just mentioned, physical exercise. Set time for reading and learning about mental growth, mental strength. Practice mindfulness or journaling for your emotional intelligence. And these fit very well into, and I've done another podcast on setting up your ideal day, right, with 4 tables: your AM routine, your PM routine, your sleep, and your work. And your AM and PM routine will have a component of your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual involved in it. So if you like to hear that, go back and listen to that, and it'll support what we're talking about here as far as the personal development plan. So you want to now set your goals, right? So you've turned your actions, but now you want to set your goals. So you want to set clear, measurable, and achievable goals for each focus area. And you want to use the smarter criteria, right? Is it specific? Is it meaningful to you and motivational to you? Is it action-oriented? Is it relevant to where you are or where you're going? Is it time-bound? And then as you start to progress, you want to evaluate your progress and then revise and continue if necessary. And so with this format will help you make sure that the goals are well defined and also keep you on track. So then you schedule your deliberate practice, right? Allocate specific times in your day or week for these activities. And those goals, again, could be an AM routine, a PM routine, or it could be a weekly routine. Like on Saturday, I'm going to go for a walk in nature. On Sunday, I'm going to practice my spiritual stuff, whatever that is. But you want to create the practice. So you can see how we started with kind of a general plan and outcome. We got a goal, we got strategies, we got tactics, and now we're going down into the very micro practices of what you're going to do daily and even weekly. Be realistic about the time you can commit to ensure consistency and progress. Basically, we want to start off, what's the minimum? If you've never meditated at all, can you meditate? Can you close your eyes and count your breath for 1 minute? Yes, then start with that. Once that becomes comfortable, then maybe go to 2 minutes and then add to that. But you want to be consistent first and then have the duration added to it. If you start to sit down, maybe today you have 5 minutes, but tomorrow you're going to be swamped. And so, that 1 minute could be you're sitting in your car at home, you close your eyes, you breathe for 1 minute, then you go to work. All of those things can take place, but you want to come up with a practice that you can be consistent with. And then monitoring your progress, right? Regular review your goals and practice to assess progress and make adjustments as needed. This is where journaling comes in handy. You can start off the journal with, my intention for the day is to meditate for a minute, to drink 64 ounces of water, to eat right. So you could put your intentions down, and then at the end of the day, reflect on it, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did I do with drinking my water? How did I do with my meditation? So this way, and it's not to beat you up, it's just to see what you have done. Because even if you meditated for 1 minute, you did it. Great job. So we want to monitor the progress so they can keep us inspired, right? So again, a journaling to track these activities, reflections, and also the memories, right? That's really important. If you had a great time out in nature, not just say I went in nature, but write down the memories, write down what happened, write down your emotions so you can refer back to it. So then we want to integrate. So ensure that your personal development plan harmoniously integrates the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects, reflecting a holistic approach to your personal growth, right? This balance is crucial for sustainable development and achieving a fulfilling life. By following these steps and ensuring a balanced approach, your personal development plan will be comprehensive, actionable, and aligned with your long-term aspirations and well-being. So personal development is a continuous journey, not a destination, and the journey is what's the most fun part about it. It requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to embrace change and be uncomfortable. So take a moment to reflect on where you are currently in your developmental journey. How can you take action and begin to create your own personal development plan now, today. So as soon as you get done listening to this, write down 1 or 2 things that you can do. Remember, every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your full potential. If you'd like to see the show notes on this podcast, you can visit warriormindcoach.com. While you're over there, you can find some more useful information in the form of other podcasts, blog posts, and also how to contact me for a complimentary breakthrough session. Since you'll be on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest under Warrior Mind Coach.